This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's pod. This is the show for the week of July 24th, 2023. This week, we discuss if World Celebration will open soon and what we hope for it. Our top 3 ways we would increase attendance in 2024, though with the parks today seem a little busy, maybe we don't have to increase attendance in 2024 if we were in charge. And our third week of Mouse Mastermind, where we plan a parent-child trip for high school graduation. I almost put like father and son, but I don't think that's inclusive enough for everybody out there. So yep. That's what immediately popped in my mind for whatever reason, but that is not needed for this project. So that's a little bit later in the show. But first, Phil, as usual, what is going on in our Disney World?
Yeah, so I wrote down just a number of smaller things related to Walt Disney World specifically. And a number of them were kind of positive or things to get more excited about. And I know that's sort of a theme we're trying to stick with the last couple of weeks, yes, and especially this episode. So I thought I'd just mention them. And if anything you kind of want to chat about, let's do that. So like you mentioned, it does appear that there were crowds at a number of the parks today. I was checking like touring plans for their Lines app. And at one point over, I think it was 7 attractions at Magic Kingdom had waits of at least 58 minutes or more. There were large crowds getting in and stuff like that. So I guess one takeaway is I guess everybody saw that it was slow and so decided to go down, and now it's not slow anymore. And it also does seem to be keeping the trends that Mondays are actually a really crowded day to go, because I know some of the annual passes don't work on the weekends and stuff like that. So I think people started like trying to avoid weekends, and now it's pushed to Mondays as being a crowded day, because I guess it's kind of the first like full day for a lot of people for their vacation.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple things here that, you know, this is just one day's worth of data.
Sure. And
Disney World is a giant ecosystem of people's like wants and desires and their behaviors. It would make for a really good thesis if somebody wanted to dive deep into it. But my take is the Disney World planning ecosystem is intense. You've got YouTube videos and websites all over the place, and they're all like, you got to do this. This is your tip. But once those tips hit a certain threshold, people start doing the opposite of those tips to avoid the crowds. Because if everybody's going to do this, I'm going to do that. Another thing is, once we had that Wall Street Journal interview with Len Testa, and it's not as crowded. That whole meme kind of popped up.
Yeah,
and it's true. There was a lot less crowds in the parks for the last couple months. But what I think what you're seeing, to your point, is a lot of locals are now go during the week, not on the weekends. Mondays being more busier than Saturdays. What leads me to believe there's a larger crowd, or the number of AP and local guests are larger than what people think when they constitute like, well, it was slow today because maybe the heat on 4th of July was really bad. APs and locals stayed home, and that impacts when locals and AP stay home. That impacts the parks, because there's a non-zero percentage of daily guests that aren't people from the Northeast or wherever.
Right? Yeah, taking their big vacations. Yep.
So that being said, you just can't really judge how a park is based off like anecdotal evidence and the obvious things. There's way too many different things that influence things like this. And that might be, APs can't go on the weekends and people are now going on Mondays instead of Saturdays. When does that change? When does that really affect things? We can only tell when it becomes a trend, right? So if the next 10 Mondays are super busy, then maybe we could say something's different. I don't know. But I love like thinking about this type of stuff.
Yep. Next news item was that they released the Halloween foodie guide came out. So for those of you that'll be going down, including myself, during the Halloween, half of the year that they celebrate Halloween, they released a number of the food items from Magic Kingdom, some that are available all day and some are only if you're attending the party. So obviously I was starting to look at that with interest since we're attending our first party. One thing I noticed seemed to be a theme was they do have a number of things that they're at least calling spicy. I guess we'll see if they're actually spicy. And the other thing I noticed, they're using black buns So there's like chicken sandwiches and burgers and hot dogs and stuff, and the bun is black. So it didn't look too appealing to me, but I guess it's a Instagram
Didn't
type
like
thing or
Burger
something.
King or McDonald's, some fast food chain was doing that around
I think so.
Halloween time the last couple of years. The one thing I kind of find funny is up until maybe last year when we went for the Christmas time festivities, I always thought like these dessert like reports or things were like a waste of time. No one reads those things, yet I found myself like reading them when I was actually going to be there and picking
exactly.
up things I wanted to eat. So I mean, it's newsworthy because they're actually useful if you want to try some new stuff when you go down there. So there's any number of them out there. You had linked Disney Food Blog with yours. But keep your eye out for your favorite influencer. I suppose they'll be listings.
And the first party is August 11th, so I'm sure there'll be a ton of videos and stuff like that with everyone trying all the new foods, because I think they said 30 of the food items are new. Awesome. And also, we are coming up on, I think it's just 3 days from recording, the International Food and Wine Festival starts. So we will be seeing all sorts of videos with all the new food items for that and that sort of thing too. So that'll be exciting to have later this week as well. Mm-hmm. One other thing that I mentioned it before, that they seem to be adding more character things around the parks lately. There was like a Tigger and Eeyore were in Epcot today, kind of where Pooh is sometimes in. They had characters meeting like even before you got into Hollywood Studios, like by the security area. There was like the country bears were there. It was like all these kind of like random things. But I think that just adds a lot of fun to the park. Like if you're going to come upon these characters you're not sure. expecting to see. So I think, want to give them credit for that. I think that's a fun thing. And speaking of meet and greets, there's machinery at work for the new Maribel meet and greet in Magic Kingdom. So that one's coming. The other thing that's coming is, we know we're recording this on the 24th, as Jason said. So tomorrow, Tuesday, probably when most of you will listen to this, the CM previews for Journey of Water featuring Moana will have started. And I took a note of this because there's been a lot of reports of people, seeing the fountains going and the jumping water and stuff like that. And I saw Blog Mickey, their article today, it was headlined with "Jumping Water Intensifies." And I just thought I don't know, got a kick out of like intense. I don't know what it means, but it sounded very intense. And then the last on here, it was weird. It was Disney Plus tweeted out about how there's like a perk of being a Disney Plus subscriber. You have access to these discounts at Walt Disney World. And a lot of people jumped on it. It's like, oh, is this new? It's actually not new, but it made me look, and there's still quite a bit of availability using this discount all the way up through Christmas Day. So if you're looking to go that time and you have Disney Plus, or it might even be worth it just to sign up for Disney Plus to get access to this and save potentially a couple $100 a night if you're staying at a deluxe. Something to check out, because some of those rack rates are a little intense when you're around the holidays, but you take 20-30% off. Starts becoming a little bit more attractive. So
we did this last year. This was our December trip, was on a Disney Plus deal. Yeah, it's definitely, if you don't have, I can't imagine anyone listening to this not having Disney Plus at this moment, but it's worth the $15, whatever it is now, to sign up to save, I don't know, $60 to $100 a day, depending on where you're staying. For sure. I looked at Art of Animation family suites, which are typically, from my memory, in the $500 and $600 range. Mm-hmm. At least they were last year. And this was used. We would use this if we were to go down as a family of 5, and then like my mom comes down with us or something like that. So we need either 2 rooms or one of these. And that was at like $400 mark, which is actually what I remember the cabins costing like 4 or 5 years ago. So I mean, you're getting back some 2018, 2019 pricing, and that was 35% off, which kind of surprised me. But still, $400 a night, I guess, is a pretty good deal when the alternative is 2 rooms, which it probably would have been at like $300 a piece or something somewhere.
So just a note of there, if you were toying with going down there and seeing some of the new stuff that maybe you haven't seen, and got excited about our trips last December, there are some decent deals out there for the rooms.
And if you're booked already without a discount, go look and see if this applies to your day. Save some money.
Absolutely. Looking at other theme parks, Universal announced that they're going to do a new DreamWorks Land. It's replacing what was the Kid Zone area in Universal Studios Florida. So where ET is, so ET is staying, but kind of the rest of that area is getting redone or rethemed to DreamWorks. So you're going to have they definitely had it. It's all going to be family friendly, and it's going to feature characters from Shrek and Trolls and Kung Fu Panda and Gabby from Gabby's Dollhouse, which I'm not sure what that is, but it's another, something else to attract, I think, smaller kids and families with smaller kids. It's something new. So you can tell from the concept art, they're going to be retheming Woody Woodpecker's coaster is going to be now Trolls. And as Len Testa pointed out, they definitely need to call it the Troller Coaster. And they're going to have like kind of this pretty detailed meet and greet area for Shrek. So I just thought it was interesting that this park specifically, they seem to be maybe starting to cater more towards families with smaller kids because they just redid the whole Minions Illuminations area, and now they're going to have this. So it's probably just more work that they're doing to get the whole complex ready for families with kids of all ages for when Epic Universe opens up, that it's not just going to be for when you like graduate from Disney into Universal. This is like, no, we have stuff for everybody in the family.
I think two things are happening. One, they are making some of these areas more relevant. I mean, outside I enjoyed the Woody Woodpecker movie the last couple of years ago, but a lot of those old cartoons are just IP they gobbled up just to use. So, I mean, they're making it more relevant for kids that, for the last 10 years watching all these movies. And two, I think that it's giving them the opportunity to kind of make the park a little bit, I don't want to say nicer, but maybe better themed, because I always thought just from looking at pictures and videos, that some of the original two Universal parks outside the Harry Potter stuff and everything else like that were like somewhere between a Six Flags and Disney in quality of theming and stage presence or whatever word you want to use. And I think this gives them the opportunity to kind of bump that up, because I think what's going to happen is I think Epic Universe is going to look absolutely amazing. Like the construction already looks absolutely amazing from the updates that you see. I just don't think they want to go from walking into Epic Universe the first day, because that's where people are going to go down, right? They're going to be attracted to this brand new $2 billion plus theme park and be completely amazed by it, and then go to one of their other parks and then go, oh, this is different, right? So they're going to want some kind of, I think over time, they're going to want some kind of like evening out in quality of entertainment. So I think this is one of those steps, and I really appreciate them spending the money to do it right now, which is pretty awesome.
And that is scheduled to open next year in 2024. So they seem to be able to move quick over there while they're doing a whole nother theme park and everything. Speaking of $2 billion in theme parks, out of the nowhere, I don't think anybody was expecting this, but it was announced that a new theme park was going to be built in Northeast Oklahoma. As far as I could measure, it's a little over an hour from Tulsa. Going to be called the American Heartland Theme Park. It's going to be about a $2 billion investment in this area that will feature like a big RV park and then a 125-acre theme park. The interesting thing was they said there's over 20 former Disney park builders and Walt Disney Imagineers are attached to the project. And if you look at the different lands that they're going to have, they very much look like the plans that Disney was going to build with Disney's America that was going to be built in Virginia. And even like some of the areas, there's Electropolis, which looks just like the electric park that was in Kansas City that Walt, was one of the things that inspired Walt and stuff like that. So it definitely has that Disney feel and kind of family friendly and wholesome and mid-America type thing. I know one of the tweets says, and it's not going to cost you like your entire life savings to go there is the idea. But we'll see. It's supposed to, I think it was in 2025, the RV park was going to open. And then with the idea that the theme park would be open in 2026, we'll see if it gets built. There's always been these announcements, there's a big one in London that was, supposed to get built for like years and years and years and never got anywhere. So I don't know if this will ever get built, but it was an interesting thing because I know we've been talking about just general, like, oh, if Disney built a third location in the country, where would it be? Probably somewhere in the middle of the country. And now here's a Disney-esque theme park that's going into the middle part of the country in Oklahoma.
Let me know when the Midwest version of BioReconstruct is flying over construction. That's when I'll start taking it seriously. It looks cool, I guess. There's a bunch of concept art that like basically looks like Disney concept art when it comes to theme parks, which is pretty cool. If they start building it, I will be interested. So, but up until that point, we'll keep our eye on it, I guess.
Yep. It was just one of those things that kind of came out of nowhere with, you got the former Imagineers, because we know, Walt Disney Imagineering definitely skinnied down during the pandemic and stuff like that. And while they've hired a few people back, there's still a lot out there. So I guess a bunch of them got together for this. And hey, if this is something they want to do with maybe a little more responsibility and less of the big corporate overarching thing, maybe it's a fun project for them. But we'll see. But those were the main things I wanted to touch on. Reminder of our social media accounts: Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, and Facebook and YouTube. We are all at the DBC Pod, and of course our Discord server. And speaking of YouTube, wanted to welcome a new subscriber, Brian Smith. Thanks for signing up and getting all the downloads and watching us on YouTube.
Thanks for clicking buttons. We appreciate it.
Thanks for clicking buttons. Appreciate it.
Okay, so our aforementioned topic from the top of the show is, will World Celebration open soon? Now, if you're still foggy on all the new neighborhoods in Future World or old Future World, World Celebration is basically the center hub, I guess, of that part of the park. It's basically where the old fountain was, right behind Spaceship Earth. That leads right down into the World Showcase, that kind of area. On the, I guess, the left side, west side, is where the Journey of Water is being built. On the right side is all the buildings, the Connection Eatery, and there's the merch and everything else like that. That's already open, but you kind of walk around it, counterclockwise, coming from World Showcase up to Spaceship Earth. So it's basically the big construction pit, right?
Yep.
So Blog Mickey had a news item where they're speculating on the opening of World Celebration, or at least parts of it, because they had a date of food booths that weren't going to be available now, but were going to be available later this year in September.
Yep.
So they're speculating, the only place where they could put them is over here, and there's some concept art with some boxes and some X's in them, and I don't know if it's any truth to it. And the construction doesn't look anywhere near completion where it's going to be open and available for people to walk around in 2 months, just because there's no vegetation. Some of the buildings don't have all the walls completed, that type of thing. So,
and I think actually today they came out with the initial guide for the Food and Wine Festival, and those locations that aren't opening until September are on there, and they're actually all located over by Test Track. So it's not
never mind.
where Blog Mickey was speculating.
Yeah.
Other people were too. There were these areas on the side of the new Communicore building that had kind of like X's on them. They look like they could be booths. And so that's what people are speculating, but apparently that's not what they were. But anyway, yeah, exactly.
So we haven't really talked about World Celebration yet, at least as a functional space. We thought we always talk about what could they put in there. It's kind of awesome if they did this, and this, armchair Imagineering, that type of thing. But we've got some pretty good plans of what it's going to be. A lot of greenery. We've seen a lot of trees there already. There's Dreamers Point. There's a new fountain. There is like a stage area and a meet and greet area kind of to like across from Journey of Water, probably at right around like 8:00 or so. On the 7-8 o'clock, I guess.
Yep.
On the clock in that area. So my first question is, what gets you excited, Phil, about World Celebration? Is it just like a space you're going to walk through, but like, or what gets you excited?
Yeah. So, and one thing, I don't think there is a fountain in it. There's going to be the like the globe or the earth in the middle of the Epcot rings. That's going to be kind of the center area, which is supposed to light up and stuff like that, which I think will be cool. The other thing, I'm actually pretty excited for the idea of the performance space that's tied into one of the Communicore buildings. That's going to be sort of indoor and outdoor. So you can, they have a lot of the concept art, with like lawn area and just chairs, and it's going to tie into like where there's going to be, get your festival food. I think at one point they were even mentioning it'll kind of feel like a beer garden where you could kind of hang out, listen to live music, which we talk about a lot. Like live entertainment is definitely something that Disney's known for and has maybe been lacking a little bit of, compared to in the past. So I'm very excited for that aspect.
Yeah, I think that for this to be a success, they have to kind of go all in like they do at Disney Springs, where there's live entertainment, there's bands, there's music constantly playing. It doesn't have to play from like 11 o'clock in the morning through 9 o'clock at night when the park closes. Or I think it basically has to go for just around lunchtime all the way through the evening, right before whatever fireworks show eventually is there in World Showcase. But I think it needs to be a party. I think it needs to, like, there's got to be food and vendors, and there's got to be places for people to sit and kind of relax, and the ability to watch the fireworks show from a distance anyway, with that straight shot down the lagoon. I think it has to be more than just like a walkway. I think it has to be lively. And maybe there's some entertainers that are walking around. Maybe it's an extension of the music pavilion area. I don't know, but like it needs to be more than just like pathway and trees, right?
Yep.
So that gets me really excited. So I expect there to be, daily entertainment, and I expect that to happen year round, not just basically with the festival. Maybe the entertainment changes with the festivals. Maybe it's more, artsy and during the arts, or maybe it's food and wine. It's more rock. I don't know. But like I think more stuff has to go on there. Now my question is then let's say the everything goes up. I mean, there's going to be no surprises here. It's just hopefully it's going to look really good. How does this change your opinion on Epcot? Does it just change the way you're going to approach the park and all, or does it stay more the same?
I mean, obviously, initially it'll change it because we can actually walk through the middle. But compared to like before the construction started, I do think it could become an area where you just hang out more, like you said, for the music and stuff like that. And I do think it's going to look really good at night. There's a lot of we've been seeing tons of different lighting installations going in. I think it's going to look really cool at night. And obviously, you have the lights that they added to Spaceship Earth that are going to be there at night. So I think it's going to be a really cool space to hang out in the evening and kind of, I know you talk about this a lot where you like to have kind of those family meals where you almost like debrief, like how was the day? What are you excited about for tomorrow? I think this could be an area where you could do a lot of that, not at a table service menu, but kind of where you can kind of relax and reconvene your family and kind of figure out, get ready for the rest of the night, but debrief for the day and kind of get ready for tomorrow and stuff like that.
What I would like Epcot to become is a place where you don't feel the pressure of having to do attractions throughout the day.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's basically what people do. They go and they make sure they get Remy's and Test Track and Guardians and go over to Soarin', and they're like, we need Genie Plus. We need to hit this. We need to do this. We need to do this. And that becomes your day. And then World Showcase to the, I don't know, average vacationer might be like, we do that too. And you kind of walk around and do some shops, but it's like you do that on your way to something else.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine a lot of people do that outside maybe veterans that you're going specifically down for like food and wine or something else like that. Right.
Yeah.
But if this central area has live entertainment, that's hopefully a draw for people, because it happens in World Showcase, right? There's a draw when there's live music, like in Germany or in Japan or somewhere else, there's people crowd up. But if there's more of a set of shows, I think it's going to be better, especially since by the American Pavilion, when they have bands that are playing there and stuff like that, it's kind of tough to kind of just sit around and do things. Like you have to go sit in like an amphitheater and enjoy it and whatever. I hope it's more of a party atmosphere in World Celebration, because it feels like it could be more like loungy and relaxing, and you can kind of come in and out without restricting of like having to walk past people, like in, when you're in the amphitheater where you have to like, excuse me, I have to get up, excuse me, whatever. It's more of like, I have to sit here for a while versus kind of like coming in and out. Yep. So I think Disney Springs is a pretty good example of that, at least in my experience.
Yeah. And it also would remind me a little potentially of the vibe Animal Kingdom had, especially at night, where it's kind of more, you could just kind of wander around with an adult beverage, enjoy, they had various music going on and stuff like that. And it just kind of had that chill vibe. And like you said, you weren't necessarily like just trying to get from point A to point B. You were enjoying yourself, like just kind of in the moment and kind of what's going around. So I think that this could be more of that.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember our last Animal Kingdom day, or only Animal Kingdom day, when we were down in December. There was one band that was playing right by oh goodness, what is the barbecue place? On the Discovery Island.
Why am I blanking on the name of it? But no, I know what you're talking
about. Anyway, there's like a mini stage, and the guys were engaging. The main singer was engaging the audience, and everybody was dancing. And there was a good crowd of like 50 or so people with their kids, all kind of having a good time. And I just hope that that's replicated, because impromptu, just kind of stopping and just not hustling for the next thing, right? And I think that's what my feel for World Celebration. I hope for it to be.
And it was a Flame Tree Barbecue.
Flame Tree, thank you. I knew it started with an F, but I couldn't remember what it was. Okay, so let's move on to our top three. So we mentioned that we wanted to do top 3 ways we would increase attendance starting in 2024. This has been a theme over the last couple months of figuring out ways to make things less expensive, or what we expect. But now, instead of guessing what Disney's going to do or whatever, we are now in charge. And these are going to be 3 things that we would do. So, Phil, do you want to go back and forth, or do you want to just run straight down and critique each other's ideas.
I
Because I,
think
have
we
not looked at yours yet.
we normally go straight down, but why do we go back and forth just to
Back
switch
and
it up?
forth.
Yeah.
I like it. You're reading my brain, because I was going to suggest that. Mine, I'm stealing your idea from previous shows, but I want to see vacation packages, right? We all complain that Disney's too complex for the average person, even complex for us to plan and get, do all these different ADRs and do all these different Genie Plus things and picking lightning lanes or individual lightning lanes, and then picking out, how many days you're going to go to the parks, what hotel you want to go to, and all this other stuff. Like, it's a complex thing to kind of assemble
Yep.
a Disney vacation, right? There's checklists and all this other stuff. I want to see vacation packages come back where there's not just a ticket or in a room deal, like, here's a bundle, buy it. But I want to see a full-blown package experience put together with one price tag on it. Like, it's going to cost you $5,000 to do this thing. And they pick the hotel for you. They pick how many tickets you get. Maybe throw in hoppers. Maybe throw in Genie Plus for the duration of the stay. Maybe it offers some of these add-ons and bolt-ons that we talk about, whether with tours or different experiences. It comes with a built-in ADR for like 2 different popular, resorts, and they just give it to you. You can pick a princess theme one or an adventure theme one or like whatever. But I want to see, instead of me having to go pick a hotel, see if the discount applies, then go pick out tickets and see the numbers start ticking up and getting more and more depressed how much money I'm spending. I want to see a list of offers for 6 nights, 4 nights, whatever the number might be, and have this one's $2,000, this one's $5,000, this one is $8,000, whatever it might be. I'm like, I can afford that. You click on it, and then you pick your dates, and you can always add on, but here's your bundle. God help you. Give us all the money, and then you go. I just want something nice and easy, and hopefully, obviously, the cost is reduced, right? Because they're giving you a deal, so this is enticing people to come back. And I think your point was very good. You see, we could go to Disney World for $1,500. Let's go, like the old commercials, like you used to say.
Exactly.
That's my number one.
Yep. So mine, I kind of had a theme of like things they could do that would build excitement more. So even more so than like discounts and stuff like that, but make people more like, this is great. I want to go, but I'm going to go a little out of the order I listed them because the one I had kind of relates into the vacation packages. Is that if they brought back Magical Express, if I could do that, I think that's something that builds the excitement and kind of made that whole like the Disney trip starts when we drop off our bags at the airport and stuff like that. And I think if they just announced that was coming back, I could see. I don't want to say that alone would get people to book, but I know some people would be like, "Oh, they're bringing that back." It's not like I missed that. That's cool. Like I think that would build excitement, and is another thing that you could bundle into the vacation package and say, and this includes your transfer from the airport.
That's interesting. I'd be curious to see if that actually impacted bookings. Like, Magical Express is back. Do they see a 5% spike in bookings? Is that just enough to get people to look at the website again and potentially plan a vacation?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people that missed it, and there were people that just felt it made the trip easy, especially if you were say one parent with a couple kids or something like that. And I also think it just like almost symbolically, that was like kind of one of the first things they took away that kind of like led them down this path, where I think if they reinstated that, it would almost more symbolically more than the actual impact, I think would carry a lot of weight with the community.
No, 100%. So my number 2 is just basically tied in from the topic that we had. World Celebration must be finished. And I just think to kind of launch that, I think because they're tying at least a bit of Epcot to like the 100th celebration and stuff like that. I think there should be a season of parties, right? So I don't know if you break them into months or a bunch of weeks, but there should be like a theme of like, this is the celebration of rock and roll, and just have some rock bands playing, and then jazz, and then country music, whatever you can think of, themes of whatever it might be that are just playing on rotation. So every time you go, there's a new thing going on. And if it's like rock and roll music, then maybe there's, some stuff that you could buy that's kind of more rock and roll-ish type of, I don't know. It's just basically parties that are just kind of going on. This is where it's happening in World Celebration. We're celebrating the 100th. And there's just a big party going on constantly every single night, that type of thing. So I think that would get people excited because it's a new type of festival. It's not the old, food and wine. Here we go again. It's the same thing as last year, or, Festival of the Arts or anything else like that. This is brand new and it's temporary. I think that will bring people to the park.
No, I think that's a good one. It made me think, especially when you say tied to the 100th, if they had that going on now, they've been doing that kind of, I don't know if it's monthly or every other month release of like the new merch for like the different decades. You could
Mm-hmm.
almost have tied it together like, oh, we're releasing stuff from the 70s. So here's all the
Oh
merch
yeah,
related to like the stuff. And then, oh, we're having all music from the 70s going on at the same time or something. You could tie it all together like that. I think it'd be cool.
yep. Booze, food, and music.
There you go. Um, I had another one that was also tied to the Disney 100th, like some other celebration elements related to that. We know they're doing some stuff in Epcot in the fall, but I always keep going back to when we went when I was a kid. They had the year of a million dreams that I think actually extended into a few years. But there are all these just little giveaways they gave you. Like maybe you could just like you tap in and surprise, they added Genie Plus for free for you. Or
Mm.
they gave out ear hats to everybody that was on this, ship and for Jungle Cruise or whatever, like just little giveaway things that they're here. Like we are celebrating this milestone. We want to celebrate with you. And here's some ways for you to celebrate. So that was the one idea I had, but just something more. And your idea, I think, ties into that too. Like really like build up the Disney 100, make it more of a party and a celebration and something to be excited about and feel like you're getting some out of it.
No, I totally agree. And then my number 3, talking about not giving something away, but giving somebody a discount. I think what they really need because we've been saying ticket prices are the main driver and the expense of Disney World. And if you don't remember or haven't listened to the show, basically, if you compare tickets from 4 years ago to today, pack of 5, pack of 6 tickets, whatever it might be, it's adjusted for inflation. It's literally $1,000 more expensive, $800 more than it was, and you get less for that. So I'm thinking we get discounted 6-month annual passes, heavily blacked out and stuff like that. Maybe it's only good on the weekdays or one weekend a month or whatever it might be, but you get a 6-month block. And this is strictly for people out of town or out of state, right? So like I could book a vacation in, I don't know, February and be like, oh, I'll go down in the summer too because all my tickets are paid for. I don't mind splurging to go down there again because I've got that covered. And now they don't have to worry about a year-long AP and having to go. You have the 6-month block. You can limit it in any way. But I would consider doing something like that if it didn't cost like, obviously it can't be like $700 for a 6 month because
Yep.
a full year is about $1,400. It's got to be inexpensive. It's got to be like $300 or $400 for a person. So a family of 5 could spend $2,000. Basically, I think it should be the cost of what I would have like a 5 or 6 day vacation in tickets. Take that cost, but allow me to kind of duplicate that vacation 5 or 6 months from now. But it guarantees rack rate, hotels and stuff like that on Disney's front.
That'd be an interesting, and we never really talked about that as far as discounts, but some other way to attract that second trip.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing the bounce back offers, which is now like coming back next year. But maybe another way they could do it is just like you could buy a 10-day ticket and you had like 6 months to use those 10 days or something like that, where, because right now you only get, whatever, 2 weeks to use those 10 days or something like that. But this way you can get 2 trips out of the one, like kind of ticket book or something like that too.
I mean, I agree with that. If Disney doesn't want some, like, somebody in Georgia buying a 6-month AP and then just going like constantly, which I think Disney wouldn't mind if that were the case. But like if hotel bookings are soft, I think the way to get people back in hotels is give them an excuse to go back down because the tickets are paid for.
I mean,
right?
how many of us have talked about that when we did have annual passes and stuff like that back in the day, where it's like, yeah, we're planning on 2 trips, maybe like at the beginning and the end of that. And it's like, once you got them, it's like real easy to talk yourself into taking that 3rd trip or something like that. So it's kind of that.
Honey, there's
that
a
type of thing.
$60 ticket to Florida right now. Why don't we go down for the weekend?
Exactly.
See if there's anything at All Star Music. We'll stay there for. I mean, like, I would totally do that with my family. We're not going to be doing like whatever, but if we got like an extended weekend during the school year, it'd be like, let's just hop in the car. Let's just go down and just do it. Right? We done it. We did it once a couple years ago. That's basically, I don't mind paying for a couple of nights of a hotel for $600. That's not the driver. It's always
the tickets.
So,
yep.
So I like that. What's your last one?
So my last one is, which might surprise people a little bit because it wouldn't help the people right then, but it ties into my whole theme of like building up excitement, is that get started building new stuff. Like, even if it's not going to be open then, if they're actively working on the Moana stuff in Animal Kingdom or the Beyond Big Thunder stuff, and you can see the work going, and they have like the concept art on the construction walls, and they're playing video about it in the rooms and stuff like that. I think it's just more to build up that excitement. So I think people, even if they know it's not coming for a couple years, it's something that else is going to just create more positive vibes about Disney, and people would be more excited about it.
I mean, I don't think that's going to get anybody to book, but it might get people that are there anyway to book another vacation sooner than they want because they're getting the exciting, like you said, they're getting excited about the vacation. I don't think Disney, Disney's not building anything right now that gets anybody excited. And then the whole meme of it takes 10 years to build anything at Disney, where it used to not have to be that way. I think if they do some kind of major push, and then at Destination D or whenever it happens, if they start promoting the heck out of it in the hotel room TVs and YouTube videos and commercials and all this other stuff, it might drive a level of excitement. The only thing they have to do is worry about people calling up, hey, when is this opening? Is this opening yet?
Yeah, that's true. I guess like that's kind of what I was thinking of. Is it's like, okay, you have Destination D and you say, we're doing this, we're going to do this, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's excited then. And then afterwards, it's like, all right, well, when is this actually going to come? So I guess it was like carry forward that by actually getting the shovels in the ground. Like show that you're like, yeah, we're building this, and it's not going to be 10 years from now. It's going to be, that sort of a thing I think would just get the excitement up a little bit more.
I think the Disney fans and the influencers will help drive that ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Though I have to say, I was on WDW Magic today, and where it's just a lot of the people are doom casting Disney and being all negative about Iger and all this other stuff. And there's one particular user, I'm not going to mention any names, but they've been constantly mocking Disney and memeing Disney and just kind of complaining about everything. And then there was a post about the crowds today about it going up. And he's like, oh, no, I hope it's not going to be too busy next week. I'm going. And I'm like, you just spent like all of your energy the last 3 weeks saying nothing positive, yet you're spending probably thousands of dollars for a vacation next week. So just goes to show them the magic is still alive in all of us. I kind of get a chuckle out of the whole thing. All right, so we're going to move on to this week's Mouse Mastermind, a game where we plan a trip based on a bunch of different stories and scenarios. This week I picked, and I hope you guys are liking this, by the way. I think we had some feedback where people are actually enjoying it and finding it kind of fun and interesting. So we're going to keep doing it. Maybe not every week, but we don't want the game to get too stale because there's only so many combinations of these things that we can do.
Yeah, I didn't want to get to the point where like, oh yeah, you're a group of 18 and you're going for 4 weeks and like
only on St. Patrick's Day. So this week is 2 adults, a parent and a high school age child. They're graduating high school. Budget's around $6,000. I went a little over $6,000, but not too much. The trip setup I have here, you could pick father, son, mother, daughter, or whatever combination of it. Maybe it's a grandparent and a grandchild, whatever you might want to do. But adult, high school, 18-year-old, that type of combination. And special trip. It's a typical family. It's a family of 4. They stopped doing family vacations down in Walt Disney World because people kind of lost they started doing other things, got too busy, whatever the right reasoning might be. But these 2 people are uber Disney fans, and they never lost the itch. And they were always complaining about their father, their mother, their siblings not wanting to go and them getting sucked off into anywhere else. So now they're planning a special trip for high school graduation. So the question then becomes, Phil, what do you do for when you're used to probably planning family trips? Now it's just you and a child. You can pick one of your kids, imagine them graduating high school, and this is kind of a present. Somehow you managed to get away from the rest of your family to go down. What does that look like, especially when it's you and an 18-year-old and not you and a 13-year-old? So what did you do?
So I envision this, just to kind of make it easier in my mind, that it was me and my oldest daughter going down. So just because I was trying to take into account like what type of touring style she would like and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So I put that we would, and I guess my thought with just the 2 of us is we're not going to go for like a week or 10 days and kind of be lounging around. It's going to be a shorter, probably more intense trip where we're active and doing things and stuff like that. So I said we would do for 4 nights. Okay. And we would have 3 3-day tickets with Hopper. I picked that some of this is probably sentimental because that's where we've stayed several times, but we would stay at Caribbean Beach, so moderate. I gave us with the 20% hotel discount, but also because it's the hub of the Skyliner, and it's convenient, especially with the hoppers getting between Epcot and Hollywood Studios, which are some of her favorite parks. So that brought the ticket cost to $519 per guest, just over $1,000 for the family. The hotel with moderate for 20% off was coming to $280, so about $1,120 for the stay. So tickets and hotel were at just around $2,150 so far. Then I did say we would do some extras. So just to make life easy, so we're not just standing around in line, we would get Genie Plus and the individual lightning lanes for all the days. And then we would also do one of the Magic Kingdom dessert parties because I know my daughter can get kind of crowds and loud and stuff can be a little intense for her. So I thought that would be kind of a nice little treat for her to kind of like, okay, we don't have to worry about like holding down a spot and that sort of thing. On our arrival day, though, and I planned it out that we would arrive on a Wednesday, so we would do the extra hours event at Hollywood Studios because I know that's one of her favorite parks. And again, kind of something special in the evening, arrival day, have fun there. And I did have enough.
Assuming they have them again because it's not.
Yeah. So
going on right
assuming that, but yeah, if it's not there, we maybe would do another one. But I factored in doing an extra after hours event. Yep. And then I wasn't sure which one to do. I'd probably let her pick. But we would do one other like fun thing. I just because I know it would add to the budget or whatever. I checked the Wild Africa Trek because I think that sounds like something cool. I think she might like to do that. But it might not be that. Maybe she picks something else. But basically, put all that in there. So and I put $200 a day for our dining budget. I don't think we would get the dining plan. I think we would play it by ear. Probably do a lot of snacks and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then I gave myself a $300 budget for souvenirs. And so all together, and $70 for Magic Bands. I figure we'd each get a new Magic Band Plus.
There you go.
So when adding all that together, it came to $4,973. So we actually have about $1,000 left.
Way under budget. Look at you.
I did check too. I could add another day to the stay, and I think that would leave me with like $100 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I think that's kind of what kept the cost down was that we're only going for 4 days, 4 nights and 3 days of tickets and stuff like that. So that gave me the room to have some of these extras. And so I think it would be, kind of a short trip, maybe more intense. We'd probably be a little tired at the end, but it would be full of like a lot of kind of special things. And I think a lot of core memories would be made.
No. I dig that. I have an eerily similar vacation plan, but there's some differences here. So my total budget was over $6,000. It was like $6,200, but I changed my discount from 20 to 30% because I'm staying at a deluxe. And typically at a deluxe, you can get a 30% discount on some nights. So 2 adults, I have 5 nights, 3-day hoppers, hotel discount of 30%. So my total hotel cost is $1,000. Ticket cost is $1,000, and my total hotel cost is about $22.75, which is funny because it was $100 more than yours. But I'm staying at a deluxe, and you're staying at a moderate, right? You did 4 nights at a moderate.
I did 4 nights at a moderate, so my hotel was $1,100. So tickets and hotel was $2,100.
Oh, okay, that's what you combined. Okay, that's what's anyway. My combined is $3,300. So another.
So that's kind of the extra $1,000. Yeah,
that makes more sense. I'm doing a extra hours event. I just use this week as an example. Right now, it's just Epcot that's going on. So I also have about $30 budgeted for Magic Bands, thinking we get some. We're not looking at Magic Band Plus, but we're just getting maybe a $10 or $15 one that you can get usually at your pre-purchase, assuming that there are still those expensive ones. I've got about $60 budgeted for lightning lanes just in case. And then some of I also have $200 per day for food. And I have Genie Plus for just 2 days, all park passes. So my bolt-on is the Genie Plus Memory Maker. I'm also doing a Magic Kingdom dessert party one night. And I'm also doing the Starlight Safari at Animal Kingdom Lodge. So the difference is I was just hoping that there would be more after extra hour events. Because I really wanted to do more extra hour events and less ticketed days at the parks. So the way it works is I'm staying at a deluxe. I'm going to at least one of the I always forget what it's called, the extra hours
Yeah, the
for deluxe
deluxe.
guests.
Yeah, deluxe extra evening hours. I think it is.
Extra evening hours. So I'm doing that. So I've got a total of, let's say, 5 nights. I've got 3 tickets. So that leaves me 2 days without tickets. One of those nights is going to be one of the parties. And then maybe we go in late one other day for one of those. Because I'm thinking we got a teenager. We don't need to be up and going. We're going to take more morning time off and doing just
Yeah.
kind of evening type stuff. Because it is the summer. It is warm. Maybe we don't want to bust our butts constantly going through this, but we have hoppers. We're going to be hopping around. And it's more of a, we're going to go in sprints rather than long distance running or any marathons at this one here. So, nothing complex with dining. So basically, I wanted to have something where what I really wanted to do, and I couldn't find a time where there was too many overlaps of extra hours events. I wanted to have like maybe 1 day of tickets with hoppers and then buy like 3 extra hour events, but there's nothing going on where I could do that. So we're going to stay late for the deluxe events or the deluxe extra hours and then pay for some other access, that type of thing. So currently right now, which is I find interesting, Phil, maybe you can fill me. Maybe I'm reading this wrong. There is one night where you can do the extra evening hours for the deluxe at Epcot, and that goes from 9 to 11.
Yep.
But there's also an extra hours event that overlaps that, going from like 10 to 12, I think. Is that what you're paying for the extra?
Yeah, so
it
only
happens on Monday. How does that work?
So Monday is the extra hours for deluxe guests at Epcot. Mm-hmm. Wednesday is Magic Kingdom, and then I think is Thursday the deluxe, the after hours hard ticket event in Epcot. I think they're separate days.
On the this week's calendar, I only looked at this week.
Okay,
there was nothing at Magic Kingdom on the calendar. So I just found that
that's supposed to be Monday, but typically.
Yeah. In any case, I wanted to take advantage of late nights because let's see, this would be in 8 years from now for me. I'll be in my 50s, so maybe late nights are better than with a not so early morning the next day. So that being said, I'm at $5,900 with the increased discount. So I just barely made it in. I think we should be good with just 2. Like I don't foresee us having to sit down meals and anything else like that. We're just going to go out and about. And I think, treating ourselves to a deluxe with a good discount on there is probably going to end up being Animal Kingdom Lodge to actually match the numbers I put in this game. But that being said, I think that's a pretty good time. So for those out there that are listening, what would you do if you were bringing your child or grandchild to Disney World for their graduation? How long would you go? And what style of tour would you go? Is it this like we're just going to do late days? Is this morning to night, open to close? What do you think you'd do with your 18-year-old child in tow? So let us know on Discord or on Twitter or wherever on social media that you're following, and it would be interesting to see what you guys come up with.
Yep.
Okay,
I guess another angle that our question is, we had fairly similar schedules. I maybe had like an extra tour or something like that. But the big difference is that you're staying deluxe and you had one more night in the hotel. And that's basically costing you an extra $1,000. So I guess for people, is that worth, if you're doing this trip, is it worth an extra $1,000 for staying deluxe and maybe having another kind of relaxing like hotel day mixed in there as well?
Yeah, we were going to do a resort. I was thinking like a monorail hopping type of thing. That's always a fun thing to do. But what I question is, looking at the calendar, is I really want to take advantage of those deluxe extra hours and kind of push our days later in the day where there's less crowds and it's cooler because this is the summer. It's summertime, right? You have to go to college in the fall.
Or a good trade school.
Or a good anywhere, any higher education. Yes.
Whatever they want to do.
Whatever they want to do. Maybe they're starting a job in September, right?
Exactly.
Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Yeah, and I don't know if $1,000 is worth it, but $1,000 and maybe I don't know. Maybe I feel like as my kids get older, they would appreciate a deluxe resort versus now where all they need is a shower and a bed and they don't care about anything else. They love even the non-fancy pool at these places. So I don't know. Maybe I'm spending too much money. Okay, that being said, let's move on to our DVC engagement question for this week. Last week, we asked you, how do you deal with the increased amounts of negativity online about Disney parks and Disney in general? How do you create an online happy place? I mean, this is not unique or specific to
Sure.
Disney. There's a lot of this going on depending on no matter what kind of hobby or what you like to do with your free time. But Phil, do you want to talk about this? We talk about this quite a bit on the show. Do you want to just kind of go over what the community was saying and then we kind of chime in at the end, or do you want to start first?
Yeah, so I guess we'll go through some of the community segments and then we can kind of comment on if we agree and then other ideas maybe we have.
Sure.
So I know Herd of Maniac said, they focus a lot on the resorts. So even if things are maybe not as strong as they were in the parks or there's still challenges there and stuff like that, they really enjoy their resort time and Disney Springs. And until they come back with like some sort of more maybe cost efficient plan or there's a bunch of new things, then they're kind of keeping it just focusing on the resorts. They also are thinking more about, how Epic Universe being built, how that's going to change their trips in the future. So even if it's maybe not helping with Disney positivity, it's kind of like still helping with their vacation and Florida positivity. And TL Madden said they do that too. That they're also thinking about, okay, that with that next trip in 2025 or 2026, that'll include Disney, but also Universal, like kind of getting excited for that. The other thing he mentioned was just going to the parks helped, that he had been pretty negative. He, kind of had some challenges with like when they went to Disney during the COVID years, but like he went recently and just had an absolute great time and kind of like he almost had forgotten how magical everything was. And so, that was kind of the advice of that. It's like, you're feeling negative about this, just go. Like you can't not have a good time and not be happy when you're there. And you kind of, it's easier to forget about a lot of the negativity when there's so much other positive things going on, like kind of right in the front of your face.
And we kind of I mentioned this before with that user on that message board. It's like it's negative, but they're still going.
Yeah.
Right. So just remember the people that are online have nothing better to do with their time than nitpick and all this other type of stuff. But they're still talking about Disney. They're still on Disney message boards, right? They still love Disney. There's still a reason why millions of people go. So, that's a really good thing. Just blank it all out and just go, and it's still gonna be fun.
Yep. Doxy mentioned that she just tries to ignore it as much as possible. And just so happened, I guess at one point her Twitter account had gotten hacked. So she started a new one and she's only got like kind of positive people in there. There's not as many people there. So that's one way to do it, is just start up a new social media accounts where you only have positive things. And Wheezy kind of extended that too. That just seems to, by only engaging with the positive posts and ignoring all the negatives, it seems to push more positive things their way. So I think that was kind of the main. Oh, one last thing Finn Whitman said, he tries to focus on like just what those blue sky ideas are, either that Disney said they're doing or ones that they came up on their own. And that kind of that armchair Imagineering type thing keeps them going positive and just thinking about maybe it's not what's going on in the parks, but here's what the parks could be that would get them excited.
Yeah, I'm a combination of that. I don't I don't typically ignore people on message boards or what have you. I'm certainly not one that really engages too much, at least on Twitter. On some message boards, I'll have discussions where I start getting, I find myself wanting to reply to everybody. I think the one thing that really kind of got my goat was the whole, and I saw you replying to this constantly too, was like the whole meme about like, it's always hot in Florida. I mean, like, no one is blaming the heat for downed attendance in Florida. It was specifically for the 4th of July. There was a heat advisory. If you want a better explanation of everything, go listen to Len Testa and Jim Hill's podcast from last Monday. But it was basically the government was telling you to stay indoors. I mean, that will suppress people. If you remember their show with the whole crowds and everything else like that on Mondays, there's a lot of people, local people that are like, you know what, I'm just not going to go today because I can go in next week or whatever. Yep. So that does suppress people quite a bit. But anyway, people were memeing constantly on the message boards. I'm like, I finding myself constantly saying the same thing. No one is saying this. Stop. But you know what? No one listens. You're just wasting your finger power on your keyboard and to just kind of ignore the people and move on and look for fun things to talk about. So it's a collection of everything else.
Yep.
What about you?
So to build off that, I did finally start on some of the message boards, blocking, hiding, unfollowing people that I just felt were just bringing too much of the negativity and too much just arguing with me. And it just got to the point where I'm like, this is not healthy. And honestly, it's only been a couple people. It's not like I do like 90% of the people, but it's really helped. And the other thing which I found, and I don't know if it's a combination of that, but I've just tried to post more positive takes. And I feel like more people are maybe feeling comfortable chiming in with their own positive takes. And overall, like, excuse me, not to say there isn't still a lot of negative takes. I feel like the percentage that are positive has increased maybe over the last month or so. So
sometimes you need to give people permission to be happy about it and not be afraid that everybody's going to pile on them when they have a different view. And another thing, I want to do a quick shout out to Seventh Ton. Is that how I always mispronounce that name in my head. Anyway, he's there on property right now, and he's been posting a lot of really cool pictures, just random stuff on property. So I just want to shout out to all our community members that share pictures. It doesn't have to be of you or your family, but just like taking pictures of like Spaceship Earth from a distance and different scenes from different things. Like, I just love seeing parts of the park that are just kind of like, just a random shot that look kind of cool. And I just kind of like, brings me into my happy place a little bit. So I do enjoy that type of thing. So for those that are in Discord, check out Seventh Ton's pictures. They're just kind of just random stuff that scrolls through like, oh, that's cool. And you keep on going.
Yeah, I know you mentioned that. You're like, it's nice to wake up in the morning to some like pictures of at the parks right now and what's going on. Yep. And the last point I made, and it's kind of along those lines, is to have a trip planned. I know not everybody can always do that, but it makes me feel more positive, and it makes like some of the news that otherwise wouldn't be that important or whatever, it gets me more excited. Like, for example, the Halloween food getting posted now. The fact that I'm going to be there when the Halloween food is out makes that more exciting. So I can go through and like, hey, this is something new and unique, and what's going to be. It's kind of like we've talked about in the past that, you know, when you're planning, you have sort of those toll gates of things to get excited about. And so I think this is one of those things. So it just makes all those elements matter a little bit more if you have a trip plan. So I know some people used to do that where even if they weren't going to go, they would like plan a fake trip or whatever.
Yeah.
So sometimes you could do that too.
I can never trick my brain into doing that. But no, I mean, I don't have any future trips planned whatsoever. I'm waiting for that really good package or discount to kind of really pull the trigger to get there. So no, I my intake of Disney vlogs and strategies and all this other stuff, that even though I know the strategy, I just enjoy watching it to kind of, was there a little nuance that I forgot? But I don't do that now because I don't have a trip planned. And by the time I plan my trip, like, all this could be completely different starting in the new year anyway. So what difference does it make? Okay, so this week, starting on Wednesday, we've got a DBC engagement question that's about the show. So if you notice, we've got Mouse Mastermind. We don't have our takes anymore. And Phil and I were talking before the show, and we just don't want things to get stale, right? So like every single show, it's this, then it's the top three, and then it's the topic, and then it's the Mouse Mastermind. Like, we don't want to get too much of a routine because we've been doing that for probably about a year now or so. So we're going to start doing a rotation of things. So one week we're going to have a Mouse Mastermind in the top three, and the next week we're going to do an Our Takes and something else. So our question to you is, what kind of game segments or challenges would you like to see from us from time to time? So give us an idea of something to talk about that can be like a kind of, a reoccurring format
segment
or something else like that. And we're going to come up with a bunch and start rotating them in and out so we can kind of keep the show fresh a little bit. So get on Discord. Let us know what you like to hear from us on the show, just in a format. It doesn't have to be like, specific topic or anything. We don't want that type of stuff right now. Well, I mean, we'd certainly take it, but we want more ideas of what we want to frame content around. So if you know of other shows or podcasts, Disney or sports or whatever they might be, and they do something, you want to see that kind of in our style, our flavor, our vibe, let us know, and we'll certainly try to incorporate there in one show or another. Anything else that we need to add this week, Phil? Because I think we're at the end here.
I think we're good. Yep.
So everybody, thank you for listening and watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hop on Discord. A lot of cool stuff going. We got a lot of new people are coming in and actually participating, which we really, really appreciate that. If you're at Disney World right now, please come on Discord and share your awesome pictures with us, even if it's a bird sitting on Main Street eating popcorn. We think that's really fun and cool. So please share. That being said, have a great week, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Take care, everyone.